see the Hulk.
Yeah, hold it up, Lokey. Yeah. Hold the ones you want to show, like up.
Oh, geez. Let's see.
Yeah, dude, this is like graffiti art.
Yeah, I do a bunch of graffiti too. The gangster SpongeBob's. I also like black and gray, you know.
Dude,
I just recently started messing with color. That is kind of cartoon version of my brother when he was still alive. Well, I was born in Louisiana. I was raised here. Raised actually not far away from here, right in Ballard. Went to Adams Elementary, Whitman, Ballard for about a year, and then, you know, stuff started going south from there. So,
well, who raised you?
Kind of my sister. You know, my mom and dad were around, but they partied quite a bit.
Tell me more.
My dad has been a biker my whole life, so he wasn't, you know, he's in and out a lot. My mom was, you know, she liked to drink.
Gotcha. So what was the like energy of the household? Was it just you?
No, me and my older sister.
Gotcha. What was the vibe going on?
With my older sister, it was always enjoyable. You know what I mean? She was protective, especially, you know, from my parents. But times the vibe wasn't well. You know. Other times it was great.
Yeah.
You know. But I had kind of a violent childhood, like many other people have, you know.
Was that, you know, your dad being a biker, did that kind of was that in the home per se?
Yeah, a lot of it was, but that's not where the hardship came from. That was more from my mother.
Interesting. Are you open to talking about that?
I'd rather not.
Totally fine. So let's see. You went to
Adams Elementary.
Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Whitman, Ballard High.
Ballard, yeah.
For a year.
Yep.
And what happened?
So I was into baseball a lot. Pretty good, actually. Looking at a few scholarships, you know, making it into college. And then 9th grade, I was playing football, and during the scrimmage game, caught an injury to my knee, which ended all of my sports. So from that point, I just kind of rebelled, you know, and found an outlet, which was drugs.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, you say rebelled, I hear cope.
Yeah, you know, I don't like to make excuses and, you know, say I did it to cope, but it was an outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so you went to Ballard High for 1 year?
1 year, yeah.
And then what did you do?
I dropped out and started apprenticing at a tattoo shop.
Okay, yeah. Tell me about that.
So I never was really artistic like that. I could draw a little bit, but once I started apprenticing at a tattoo shop, it was constant tracing. Trace, over and over and over.
And you're like 15?
Yeah, 15 at the time. Started dating a girl that was like the most popular girl in our high school. She worked at Starbucks. She was 18, and that was good and bad. But really, that sparked my artistic side. You know, that the art became more of the vent, and the drugs became more of the recreation.
Yeah, that creative outlet.
Yeah.
Really, it tickled your brain.
Still to this day, I use it.
That's right, as we saw.
You know, when I get upset, or arguments or anything, I go straight to the pen and paper.
Nice. Again, incredible way, healthy way to cope.
Right.
With stress, whatever's happening.
Right.
And so, eventually, I assume you start doing tattoos?
I still do.
All right.
Yeah.
Keep going. Tell me more. You're 15, and how long are you in this apprenticeship or whatever?
So the apprenticeship actually sparked from my brother. My brother, he died when I was 12. We were leaving a party, and he ended up getting killed on the way of the car. And he was into tattooing himself, so I always kind of wanted to.
Younger brother?
Older.
Okay.
Older. I was 12 at the time. He was 22.
Okay.
So 10 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. That was the first major loss I experienced, and still to this day, probably the hardest, you know?
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Massive.
Especially, you know, I was there when it happened, so it's... It's in my head every day.
Yeah, that's major trauma.
Yeah. I mean, God, it's 20 some odd years later, and I still remember it as if it was yesterday,
Yeah, very vivid.
Yeah. I remember the faces of the guys, every detail, everything.
He got killed on the way to somewhere.
Yeah, so we were leaving the party, walking back to the car, and as we approached the car, a group of guys came around the corner, and 2 of them shot him in the head. And one of them pointed at me and said, "That's your fault," and walked off.
Damn.
So for a long time in my life, I felt like it was my fault. It took a long time to realize that it wasn't.
Yeah. I'm sorry that happened, man.
Me too, man. He's a good guy.
That's brutal.
It was. It's I've experienced a lot of death, throughout my life, a lot more than your average person. I've seen a lot of it, been around a lot of it, but none of them affected me as much as that one.
Yeah, of course. That's your brother.
Yeah.
And it's an incredibly violent crime, murder, everything. And you're 12.
Right.
So, are you open to me asking a couple questions
Sure.
around there?
Sure.
How do you're 12, you're living with your sister, your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Was there all right, let's get Lokey into therapy?
No.
What anything?
No. I always, my sister was always the focus of the attention. She was older and she did good in school, graduated. She was a golden child. Never, they never really were violent or abusive to her in any way. Sometimes she'd get in between, so I didn't get it, my mom or my sister was, like my guardian when I was younger. And in turn, growing up, I became very protective of her.
Yeah. You guys still talk?
No, actually, we haven't spoken in probably 3 years.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can hear there was a bond,
there was.
and maybe still is, but just haven't communicated. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Things happened. I'm not sure what happened, but she was married and then got divorced and met somebody new, and I just, haven't really talked to her much.
So let's get back to the tattoo shop.
Sure.
You're working there.
Yeah, so because I dropped out, that was actually my dad's best friend was the owner of the Phoenix Underground downtown, and his son was a tattoo artist that owned the Phoenix Tattoo, but he wanted to open a new shop in Ballard, which ended up being True Blue Tattoo, the gob shop. So he bought out the gob shop on 32nd and opened it up as a pipe shop and a tattoo shop. And my dad didn't want me to just do nothing, so he talked to his best friend, and it kind of got me in there as an apprentice. And that's what sparked, the art and the tattooing.
Mm-hmm. How long did you do that for?
2 years
Okay.
before I could hold a running machine.
Okay.
Cleaned a lot of machines,
Sure.
traced a lot of stuff. It was the tattoo world is a crazy lifestyle. A lot of crazy parties, and it's like the rock star lifestyle, So I wasn't expecting it. It was a whole new world for me.
And you're young.
I was young, so I felt like I was a rock star. You know what I mean?
Did you jump on in head first or anything?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I did all I could.
Yeah.
My first tattoo I ever did was not one I'm happy about, but because of the tattoo it was, not of my work, but
Okay, gotcha.
where I had to tattoo the guy.
Okay. All right.
That was kind of the last,
your first tattoo.
yeah, that was like the last haze, you know what I mean?
You'll never forget it.
No, tattooed him and his wife. I did Snoopy on him and the doghouse on her, so when they were having a good time, Snoopy was going in the doghouse.
I mean, that's creative.
Yeah,
I
it
guess.
was. Got paid a lot for it too, probably the most I ever got paid for a tattoo, so it worked out.
Okay.
There has to be a handling fee,
It's got to be a therapy fee too.
Right.
So you're at this tattoo shop for how long? How long are you there?
It was a little over 2 years, and then the girl I had started dating kind of came in between me and my duties there, so I ended up leaving the shop and doing it on my own, just from house to house, going to people's houses, doing it on my house.
I mean, do they call it like freelance? I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And at this time, you're living where?
I still had my room at my family's house, but I wasn't there very much. I ended up moving in with my best friend at the time, JJ, for a while. Then I ended up moving in with the guy who was actually my plug and my cook. I lived with him for about a year and a half, and for me to get my free dope, I had to eat because I didn't want to eat, and so I ate rice for a year and a half. So I hate rice till this day.
Tell me about that for people who don't understand. Like, you're doing substances, illegal substances,
right,
but you don't want to eat.
Right,
you need to eat to survive.
Right, I was doing meth at the time, and I had dropped from 180 pounds to about 110 pounds in a matter of like 40 days. So much so to where my dad put his hand around my calves and touched fingers.
Yeah.
Because you feel like Superman, but you're not hungry. You don't sleep. This is back then.
You have to like force yourself to eat.
I had to, yeah. And the only thing I ate for a year and a half, forcing myself, was rice. So to this day, if people eat rice around me, I get sick to my stomach.
Yeah, that makes sense.
People don't understand it, and they won't ever, but yeah, I don't like rice.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah. For good reason.
Yeah, that's and at that time I still wasn't even 18 yet. I was still underage.
Oh wow.
I got arrested when I was 17 with a pistol stolen from the sheriff of King County. Some stolen car parts, drugs. The two guys in the car were both adults and both wrote statements saying everything in the car was mine, which it wasn't. The guy in the back had emptied his backpack out. The guy in the passenger seat had emptied his pockets out. I refused to write a statement, so I took the blame for all of it. Did 19 months. After that, I had to go through drug court, then drug court to an inpatient, then inpatient to John King House, then John King House to an Oxford House.
Right.
So I was 4 years of hell.
That process,
yeah.
That's 4 years out of your life.
But it's good I was a juvenile, you know what I mean? Because
so you at 17?
Yeah, 17 is when I actually went in, when they arrested me.
Yeah.
So I got arrested at 16, but when I got charged, I was 17.
Right.
And they charged me as a juvenile, thankfully.
Okay.
So
right.
When I completed drug court, those charges were gone.
Gotcha. And so when you're done, do you like graduate from the Oxford House, which is the rehabilitation
So the
place?
Oxford House is just a sober living home.
Okay, sober living.
You pay your rent at.
Okay, yeah. And there are many around.
They're all over the place.
Yes. And so how long were you there?
I was only there like a week.
Okay.
Because I met a new girl and I was out,
Yep.
And
you're how old? 19 or something?
This time I was 20.
20.
Yeah. The new girl I met, kind of funny. At this point, I actually had started working at another tattoo shop a block up from Ballard High School called Mom's Tattoo. And I used to sit out front of the shop in my chair playing with my samurai sword. And one day across the street in an apartment, I hear a girl screaming and look over, and she comes running out with the guy chasing behind her. And he started hitting her, so I hopped up, ran over there with my samurai sword, and next thing you know, I was her knight in shining armor, and we were together. So
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah, Oxford House didn't last very long because they didn't. When you're new there, you weren't allowed to have people stay.
Right.
And I wanted her to stay, so.
And then you're out of there.
Yeah.
And where do you go?
At that point, me and her stayed in cars for a while, jumping around.
Now, was this the first time you kind of would say you were unhoused,
Yes.
homeless?
Yeah.
Was living in the car?
Yeah. Yeah, parks, houses. Eventually, she got an apartment that we were in for a little while. And then we broke up. And I ran into her like a week later, and she had shaved her head, like mine, started wearing my clothes, tried to draw the tattoos of me on herself. It was pretty freaky. Trying to become me after we broke up. Kind of weird.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But later on, we became good friends. She got engaged. But once we broke up is when I think when stuff started really going bad for me. Because she was what was kind of holding my head together, And when that went away, I just, it turned to violence. Hanging around a lot of gang life, weapons, drugs, a lot of drugs. And during that time is when my younger brother got arrested. He was 15 at the time, and he got sentenced to 47 years.
Well, two questions just came out real quick. So, growing up, it was 4 siblings?
Yes, but 2 in the home. You
and your sister were in the home?
Correct, and the other 2 were with mom.
I see. Was your dad the biker dad, like your biological dad?
Yep.
So where were the other siblings?
With their mom.
Different mom? Oh, gotcha. I see what you're saying. I see.
Yeah, so my younger brother was 15. He got arrested at 15 and got sentenced to 47 years at 15 years old. And that was another blow, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, he was my right-hand man, you know what I mean? Now he's huge. He's humongous. And he's doing well. He has multiple degrees. So he's made something out of it, but...
And he's out?
No, he's still down.
Still in there?
Yeah, he's still got like another 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I could have been right next to him. He called me the night it happened and asked me to go with him, and I asked him what his plan was, and he didn't have one. Told me the people that were with him, and I told him one of the guys with him I didn't like, and it was going to end bad, and it did. They ended up killing the guy, taking his money and his guns, driving off in his car. But the guy that he killed used to rape his disabled sister. And he tried to go to the cops for help, and they wouldn't do anything, so he took it into his own hands.
Yeah, wow. It's heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I could only imagine how he feels, you know?
And he's been in there for how
Since
long?
he's 15, he's 20, God no, now he's 32.
You visited him and talked to
33.
him?
I haven't talked to him in about a year, but yeah, I had been, every month or so if I could, until they moved him to Clawland Bay. That was quite a bit farther away.
Gotcha, yeah.
Couldn't make it up there much, but we haven't talked to him about a year. Contact stopped. I don't know if he got in trouble, got in a hole or what, but he's a hell of an artist too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
he's
Yes.
way better than I am.
Well, let's see, where are we at? You broke up with that gal and you're staying in your car or no?
At this time, I was going around anywhere I could. Friends'
Couch
houses.
surfing and doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, I had I still had the ability to go back to my parents' home, but it wasn't good for me.
Yeah.
I was not comfortable there at
It
all.
wasn't safe.
No, I did not feel wanted, felt like I was in the way.
Gotcha.
And every chance they got, my sister got praises and I got degraded, so.
Yeah, so you'd rather, that's
Yeah.
totally fine. And how long does this run last? I don't know.
Probably till I was, mid-20s. And then I sobered up a little bit. I actually ended up getting a job as an aerospace machinist. First, I was working at Boeing installing wings on planes because I've been a welder my whole life. My dad's a welder. And then I moved from there to a garbage company. So I was welding there till about COVID time, and COVID hit and I lost my job again. And I've been unemployed since, and that's when the spiral downward started again.
Tell me more.
So I went from making, $150,000 a year to making nothing. And you learn real quick who your friends are when that happens. Because when I was working, I had a bunch of friends, people always calling, wanting to hang out, do stuff. Once I lost my job, there was nobody. Everybody was gone out of my life. So it's right back to feeling alone, you know what I mean, and trying to find a outlet.
So COVID's happening. You're living where?
This time, so I found out a year before COVID that I had NSCLC, non-small cell lung cancer.
Oh, okay, wow.
And at this time, I had my daughter at the time, Harmony. So I needed help. Me and her mother weren't together anymore, and by this time, my parents weren't drinking anymore. They had quit drinking.
Okay.
And honestly, I think didn't even remember most of the stuff that happened when I was a child, because it was just a blackout haze, I think, for the most part. So I actually ended up moving back in with them for the help.
With Harmony?
With my parents and my daughter, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So you got custody?
Oh yeah.
What'd you
yeah.
say? Gotcha.
Well, so me and her mother were still to this day, we were friends. So we separated when Harmony was about 2. She was born in 2007. We were separated for a few years. I ended up getting engaged to another gal. And then when I found out I had cancer, I told Harmony's mom about it, and she started hanging around more. And then one day I was sitting at the house and realized she'd been there for 2 years and hadn't gone back to her apartment. We were paying for an apartment she never went to. So we were back together at that point. And things were going great,
So everyone's at your parents' house?
Yep, everyone. Not paying rent, so that was a big help, But then, I don't know, you know, my daughter's mother was my best friend. She knew me better than anybody. Still to this day she does. But towards the end, she unthinkable, like, I can't even describe the level of disrespect and stuff she turned to be. It's crazy to me. She ended up cheating on me with her best friend's boyfriend, which I thought was also a friend of mine. And then at this point, we're still staying in the same house together in the same room. And I come home one day and she's in my room on my couch with him, moved him into my room.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's gnarly.
So I stopped staying there again.
Yeah.
It is so disrespectful. My family's home with the guy you cheat on me with. And she had the nerve to tell me that it was my fault. I did it, which I still can't wrap my head around.
Sounds really messy.
Yeah.
And again, for another time, you don't feel safe there.
No,
So
I still don't, even with her gone. She finally moved out, but
Yeah, the trauma that's there.
there's so much there. The walls are eating at me. You know, my cancer came back.
It haunts you.
It came back, and I'm dealing with that right now, and it's getting pretty bad. And I have a few people that are close to me in my life that actually care, you know, today. Actually, one of my closest friends I met when I was 15 at the tattoo shop, and she thinks that the house is what's keeping me sick. She wants to she wants me out of there. She says the walls are holding in everything, which I guess I could see.
You know, there's some thought about trauma and health are incredibly related.
Right.
Incredibly related. So.
Yeah, I know. You know, I know that. I mean, stuff as simple as gossiping about somebody. You know, talking bad about somebody. When you do that, you hold a negative thought in your mind. When you hold negative thoughts in your mind, your body releases cortisol.
Yeah, that's right.
And cortisol is a stress hormone that damages your body. So you can't talk bad about people without hurting yourself.
Yeah, interesting, right? Yeah.
You know?
Our minds are incredibly powerful, complicated.
More than we
amazing.
even know.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. Well, let's talk about your current situation.
Sure.
Where are you living, Lokey?
So, on and off at my parents' house.
That's still a home base for you to this day?
Yeah, occasionally. Right now I'm working on getting all my stuff together and getting it out of there, because when I do go there, I get extremely sick. I have seizures pretty bad. See, that's what we would deal with out here all the time. People driving by honking. But so I'm working on getting all my stuff out of there now. When I do go there, it's nothing but disrespect. You know, talking to me in ways that parents shouldn't talk to their kids.
Yeah,
period.
still. And they know you have cancer and are struggling.
Oh yeah, they don't even ask how I'm doing, or
Yeah.
never been to any of my appointments. Never even asked to go. I had a heart attack actually about 4 months ago. They were informed, didn't call the hospital, see how I was doing, didn't stop by. I stopped by the house a couple days after when I got out of the hospital and walked in thinking they'd ask how everything was going, and the only thing I got was, when are you going to clean up the shit out back? You know, I just like...
Yeah, it doesn't feel very good.
No, it doesn't. So I've been spending a lot of my time around here because, you know, people around here are like family to me, you know what I mean? They've been through a lot of the same experiences, and I get treated by people in a lot of the same ways. You know, people suck, man.
Some people do.
In general, I mean, it's... Nobody seems, not nobody, but the majority of people don't seem to think about, you know, the next person and what they've been through or what's going on in their lives. It's all about them, you know? They drive by and see a tent on the side of the road and think that the person in that tent is no good and chose to be in this life and, you know, chose that outcome for themselves, not thinking that they're just one bad decision away from being in the same place.
Yeah, that brings me to a question I like to ask, which you're answering, but maybe elaborate on. Lokey, is there something that you'd want the people of Seattle to know?
You know, everybody out here has a story, and people out here are good people. They've been through some unthinkable things, you know what I mean? Some stuff that most people couldn't even imagine. And been treated in ways throughout their lives that they don't need the extra dirt treatment from people. You know, they're driving by honking, they're yelling at them, they're spitting at them, you know, thinking that just because they pull up in their RV and it doesn't look the way they like, that, you know, they're not people. I'd rather spend my time with everybody out here than, you know, most successful people, because these people have stories and life experience and can relate, and they're good people, have heart, will go to bat for you, have your back when you need. I mean, for instance, I got stuck in a situation where I was in a car being brought to Eastern Washington against my will, and I was able to sneak my phone and message a couple people, and without even thinking about it, they got in the car and tracked me down.
Wow.
One of them sitting right there, he tried his best, you know, like, it's, most people aren't going to take their time out of their day to do that. They're too busy. If they wouldn't have done that, I probably would have been killed.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know many other people. I mean, we're all people, you know. The way that everyone out here is treated is it's sad, you know. There's solutions to everything.
Yeah, I mean, earlier that guy honked. On purpose.
All the time.
Just to be a dick.
Yep.
What else do you see out here?
People walk up and take pictures. They'll take pictures of everything. They'll videotape.
Without your consent.
Yeah, without consent. Roll up in their cars, park, take pictures from their cars, walk over and start going through people's tents just because they think something that was stolen from them they might find in a tent randomly.
Oh, wow.
I mean, all the time. Wow. Not everybody out here is thieves. Yeah, there's thieves everywhere you go. There's thieves that have nice homes.
Yeah, that's right. There's people steal stuff who live inside.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. There's
true.
people that steal stuff that are living a great life.
Yeah, true.
It's not, you know, but naturally, it's everybody out here that's doing it in their, you know, in their eyes. Like me, I'm against it personally. You know, stealing from people that work hard for their stuff it's a very personal and disgusting feeling that you cause for people.
That's violating.
It's very violating. I had it happen to me once in a very bad way, and it hurt bad. And I don't want to ever cause that feeling on anybody else. But because I'm not wearing the nice clothes, driving a nice car, or none of us are, you know, automatically we're the culprits.
Yeah, it's a easy target. People want to blame and peg somebody.
And you know, the funny thing is, a lot of these people have no idea that how many of these people are actually probably protecting their property when they see it going down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
I've seen that happen multiple times.
We were talking about your art. You tell me more about your art. Let's look at a couple pieces. Your favorite pieces here.
Okay, favorite ones. So, my art is, you know, kind of turned to my main way of escaping. Still to this day, when I'm having a hard time with something or my mind's in a bad place, I just sit down, pull out my pen and paper, and just draw what comes to mind. Like I've done, let's see here. Like I like doing the caricatures, Conan O'Brien. You know, some of these aren't done yet, but the Hulk. Let me see. You know, I like taking famous cartoons or actors or, you know, already known characters and just turning them into something more, giving them more color, more, you know, more excitement. Trying to draw a picture that might, you know, create somebody to look at and create their own story or whatever. Let's see here. So this one is a cartoon version of my brother. That he looked a lot like that, had the same tattoos. I figured I'd turn him into Frankenstein because that was his favorite movie. You know, this one right here, I actually spent a lot of time on this one. You know, the broken glass is like a broken soul or a broken spirit, and she's looking in the mirror trying to piece back together her spirit, you know what I mean? I like doing clowns because clowns freak people out.
Yes, they do.
But my favorite one, I gotta show you the favorite one. Let's see here. Oh, where is it? Ah, here we go. The Krusty.
Tell me about this one. What's going on here?
So my brother loved Krusty the Clown and acted a lot like him. And my brother at the same time had a pretty sadistic mind when it came to movies and stuff like that. So I tried to intertwine the two, making Krusty, you know, all tore apart and, you know, with the blood dripping off of him and his head mounted on the wall. So this one is just all about my brother. You know, I mean, it reminds me completely of him. Spent a lot of time on that one. Yeah, Obama.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Thank you.
Incredible.
You know, and I'm just now getting into real life portraits. You know, not cartoon, but actual realistic. I don't have any of those on me right now, but let's see. I mean, I got so many of them, I wouldn't even know.
And you're living in your car, like staying the night in your car.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Actually, most nights I'm out, you know, here at my buddy's house helping him, or staying in the car with a friend in their car. You know, just trying to keep company, keep warm, not be alone.
Yeah, I mean, it just community is so important. Like,
Yeah.
we all need community.
Right.
And you know, I'm glad you found yours. And
You know, and I'm a little more fortunate than a lot of people out here. Like, there's a house I can go to. I choose not to. That's my choice. It's not healthy for me. I'm more comfortable out here, but a lot of people out here don't have that choice.
yeah,
You know, but I love people out here, man.
good,
They're great.
great, good. Lokey, thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, sure.
It's good to hear your voice.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
I appreciate what you're doing, man. It's cool that someone's out here actually trying to get to know people out here. 'Cause, you know, I think if people actually just took the time, man, to talk to people out here, they'd see that there's good people out here.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I do
You know.
this, man. That's why I do
You
this. I
know.
appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
I mean,
Oh, here you go.